The word normal is a funny term to me because calling something normal, after all, it's relative, right? Just because something is normal to me doesn't mean it's going to be normal to you, and because something's normal to you doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be normal to me. Newton's first law of motion says that an object at rest will stay at rest, and an object in motion will stay in motion until an outside force acts upon it. So obviously, if it's natural for an object to be at rest, it's going to remain that way unless something changes. A little over 8 years ago, my life changed when doctors told me a couple of words I thought I would never hear in my life. You have cancer. And when the initial shock of those first few days and weeks finally passed, the only real thought I had in my mind at that point was, I just really want my life to get back to normal. But here I am now. And if there's anything I've realized, this whole getting back to normal, it's just not possible. But that's okay. My name is Mark, and yes, cancer sucks. Life doesn't have to. This is my story. You know, I'm still sitting here thinking to myself, why even do this? Why even tell you guys the details of my life, some of which I don't think I've shared with anyone before? Why would I put myself back in those lowest of times I've had when I went through my cancer treatments? Why would I even choose to relive that? That's a good question. But here's why. The first reason is because I'm one of the fortunate ones that actually gets to tell this. And I think you know what I mean for half of what I'm trying to say. One, that so many people who would have told this story never got the chance to. But two, most of those people who go through cancer think to themselves the very same thought that I had, which is, I just want things to go back to normal. Why am I telling you my story? Well, secondly, because I have this thing about me that says, man, I just learned something really cool. The first thing I want to do is go tell someone else about it. Cancer is a very dangerous blessing I've had in my life. And I say that because it's given me a platform on which to say things now that I've chosen to, and that certain people in my life probably wouldn't care a thing about my thoughts or about me if I didn't have cancer. They now do because of what I'm going through. But at the same time, having cancer places a lot of importance in what I say and do, because, and just tell me if I'm wrong, you notice when people close to you go through their lowest of times. You notice what they say and what they do and how they react to the situation, because you think to yourself, if I'm ever in something like that, I want to have an example of how to go through it, how to struggle through a burden. So this story, my story, it's not intended for me to sit here and boost my ego. It's not to go viral and have millions of viewers. It's not for me to sit here and say, look what I've done. Look at my life. Because it's nothing of me that's gotten me this far. Trust me on that. It's these little things that I've learned along the way that make me say, wow, I've got to tell someone else about this. Why am I telling you my story? Because a lot of things are misunderstood about people who go through cancer treatments. And yet, there's a ton of people affected by it, whether that's personally or within their own family or with one of their closest friends or just at its basics, someone they know. So look, I realize that the story I have will be a lot about what I've learned in life and what I've learned in my faith. And I know by saying my faith, it turns a few people off already. But I'm not here to say that everything I will say is going to be 100% biblically accurate or scholarly acceptable. In fact, I know there's going to have to be times where I'm going to have to go back and elaborate on what I say or apologize. But this is my story. And that's what makes it my story. And if one person or family can hear this and be drawn closer to Christ, even if it's something where you disagree with me, that's why I'm telling you my story. And look, this isn't going to be easy for me, and I know you're sitting on the other side of this thinking that I might be brave to tell this. That's unless I've gotten to know you, you know that you should know up front that I'm shy, I'm introverted, and I don't let you into my life unless I trust you. So doing something like this, making videos, telling you about my life, is the last thing that when I look back at 16-year-old Mark, just diagnosed with cancer, it's the last thing he would have expected me to do. But even still, this is my story. Before my sophomore year of high school, I had never been a patient in a hospital, ever. Now, it's not to say I didn't have like regular pediatrician appointments or I didn't go visit friends and family in the hospital. Me personally, I'd never been a patient in a hospital. So when a doctor told me that I would need to have surgery for this cluster of bumps on my neck, I had no reason to suspect that it was anything out of the ordinary. Then, my life, an object for which it was completely normal to remain at rest, was acted on by an outside force. Welcome to my story. You know, the sad fact of the matter is, given what I've gone through, I will probably never be known to other people as a follower of Christ.